Okay, we're live. Okay, guys, I'll be saving a few pictures here and we'll begin with the podcast here. So, give me a little. Be patient a little bit. I'll just have to take a few screenshots and we'll be ready to go. Oh, yeah, gotta do this. Okay. Hey, Pliskin, what's up, man? I didn't know that Tough was today, man. I always forget about that. Or I've been like watching tape on these awful fights to get these podcasts going, man. So it's been rough, man. I'm taking a few screenshots so I can begin with the actual podcast. But thank you for tuning in as always. Okay. Oh. Man, I don't know. There was a few, man. I always hate watching Caves Williams, man. Like nothing against the guy, but he's so uninteresting, man. I also had to watch one of my favorites, Waldo Cortez Acosta. Like he's pretty decent too, but he's like not good to watch, man. It's rough. It's been rough. This one, I usually like I'm very excited because I find like a few like very cool guys on the prelims. I like, and it was not the case this time around, man. It was hard, man. There's like one guy that was like kind of interesting, and he's not like super developed, so we'll see about that. So yeah, who's so yeah, no, not super pumped about this one. I don't even like the main event. I like this fight the first time around, and now that I already saw how Murad versus Shan looks like I'm not like super invested in this shit to be honest, man. Hey, Ghost, what's up, man? Oh, that's weird, but people are getting here, so that's cool. Thank you for joining me, man. Okay, I'll be taking a few more screenshots, so I can put the pictures there, and we'll be ready to go. I should have done this like way before this, but it is whatever, man. It is whatever. There's a Nazi fighting too here, man. Which one was 312, man? I don't even remember, dog. What card was 312, man? Yeah, have a few more left, and we'll see about that. Everybody ready for Jair versus Mali for double champ? Oh, dude, please no. Andrea Lee. No, not Andrea Lee this time around, man. Thankfully, man. Late career Andrea Lee has been rough to watch too, man. Oh yeah, 312 was awful, man. 312 was so bad, but I think 312 had like a few good ones on the prelims, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's the case. This one, the prelims, guys, I'm always like, oh, look for this one on the prelims. Oh man, this one is kind of rough, man. This one was hard. You for those of you that follow me on Twitter, like you guys probably realize that I barely post any clips from these guys. Um, for good reason, man. Not a lot of these fighters like do a lot of interesting stuff. The one that does, like I've already posted clips in the past. Oh, that's interesting. And Mursakanov trains in the same gym as Ashmus. That's weird. They don't fight like anything alike. Okay, I'll be back with you guys like very soon, but I have to like take these stupid pictures, man. Oh, this one is good. There's one good fight here at least. I'll let you guys like guess which one is it. Okay, 15. I picked that here on 3 here. Okay. I have 8 fights covered already. I will get into that. Jimmy Crute, man. Hey, that Jimmy Crute fight was decent, man. That's the rough part, man. That the Jimmy Crute fight was decent, man. Yeah, he's like by far the worst 145 champion. Like no question about it, man. Like everyone else is so good. And you gotta realize that the worst 145 champion right now is Connor, and Connor is like so good. Was so good at one moment. He was so good when he was champion. And going from that to Yair, like he is kind of disgusting, man. Kind of disgusting. Like I don't get why the UFC is not making the Evloev fight. Like marketing the Russians is so easy nowadays, man. I don't if the UFC cannot sell Evloev, it's like it's on there. It's on them. Like I know he's not super exciting, but with Evloev at least you have like a decent highlight reel, like not of knockouts, but of moments at the very least. Especially because he has fought some like names, especially in Diego Lopez. But like Jair main event, man, on the year of our Lord, 2025. Like, what are we even doing at that point, man? Oh, Gastelum versus Pfeiffer main card, man. The fuck is this, man? Why they did revoke this shit, man? Did I pick a decision here? Ah, yeah. Oh man, I hate this card, man. The more I'm staring at it, like the more I realize that I hate this shit, man. I've been for like 90% of the pay-per-views that I've done the full preview. I'm always like, okay, this one is pretty decent. Like I wouldn't pay full price for it, but as a card, it's okay. This one sucks, man. Like what are we even doing here? What's the plot for this card? Like O'Malley with no fights getting a rematch? Oh dog. Let me get back to the shot real quick here. Mike Brown, worst 145 champ. I think like Mike Brown and Faber are still better than Jair. Like by a good amount too, man. Oh yeah, that narrative about like, oh Mali doesn't watch porn anymore. Like, how am I supposed to care about that, man? Like the whole O'Malley thing, like just makes me think that he's getting punked this time around. Like even worse. Like, oh, we recreated the octagon with walkouts and shit. Like, the fuck is that, man? The fuck is that, man? Oh man, I'm also like taking a while here. Okay, I try to be like faster here. I'm only missing the last two, so we should be good. We should be good. Fucking Marab versus Shan, man. Please, please, dude, please. Okay, I have them all. I have them all. Finally, I have them all. Okay. Okay, 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 okay. Yeah, that's like the narrative of a completely washed guy, man. It's so embarrassing, man. Anyway, let me share this stuff and let me share real quick and we'll begin with the podcast, man. Let me get real quick here. Hey Ghost, if you're around, like can you kill me with a clip? I mean with the link real quick on Twitter. I hit you up with the link on DMs on Twitter, so you can give me a little push there, so we can get a little bit of people, and we can begin with this bullshit. Okay. Anyway, let me open my door. Okay, thank you, dude. Okay, let me get some stuff here. Just some stuff here. Okay. Fucking topology, man. Okay, thank you, man. Appreciate you so much. Okay, I'll begin the podcast then. Oh, this is where Prudential Center in New York, in Newark. Oh, don't worry, man. It's okay. Like any help is appreciated as always. Let me just check if you post a link and let me get on it. Oh yeah. Copy link. Okay. I think we're good. Okay. Let's go. Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of the fall preview. Okay, wait. I think this is not recording on my microphone. Let me check something. Oh no, yeah, it should be my. Okay, I understand now. Okay. Okay, that was false alarm, so let's get into the actual intro. Hello everyone and welcome to the fall preview for UFC 316. So we have a rematch for a bantamweight title. Merab Dvalishvili will rematch Sean O'Malley, who is coming off no wins after their first fight. We have a co-main event for bantamweight as well, but for the ladies, we have Juliana Pena defending her title against Kyla Harrison. We have a 13-bout card. This is going on at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, in the United States. Am I excited about this one? I'll be honest with you guys, not very much, but we'll get into the fights. So why don't we get immediately into the first fight of the night? And I think this one is pretty decent, I'll be honest. We have a lightweight bout between, let me change the picture here, okay. We have a lightweight bout between Merkel Medeiros and Mark Shoinsky. Or Shoinsky, I'm actually not sure how do you say that name. But let me get my notes here. So let's begin with Medeiros. Markel Medeiros, a switch stance kickboxer. Medeiros stays active with side-to-side movement and constant feigning, hiding with stance shifting. He likes to fight from hand fighting distance, looking to kick or close distance with short punching combinations and angle off. Versatile with his movement, he can circle outside, but he's at his best when he can pressure his foe to the fence. He's comfortable staying in range when controlling the initiative, fighting hands, leaning back, and taking angles to counter. His defense can't falter when pushed back, as he becomes a lot more reliant on backing up. Kick defense is another strong point. He's good at evading, shaking, and parrying kicks. He's solid if a bit inactive inside the clinch, mostly focusing on takedown defense. But he lands some of his most damaging shots in the form of elbows and knees during transitions and breaks. Takedown defense has been spotty. He's good at defending, but he can be slow to react to shots, or he can be caught with reactive entries. As a grappler, he's mostly about neutralizing, looking for spots to scramble back up. He has never been submitted and has never won any fight by submission either. Medeiros has good cardio and is a well put together fighter, but his lack of consistent damage and popping his hands translates into him having trouble controlling fights. Against him we have the debuting Mark Shoinsky, a stocky All-American wrestler fighting out of Rufus Sports. On the feet, Shoinsky is technically solid, maintaining a solid stance, moving with decent footwork and good mechanics to his strikes and defensive reactions. On the low volume side, Shoinsky is picky with his strikes, mostly jabbing and low kicking until he gets his reads. Flexible high kicks, uppercuts, and short tie-ups that he uses to find uppercuts and knees in transitions round up his striking game. Other than spacing, he changes levels a lot as a reaction to his strikes. His lack of depth when it comes to defense can be exploited by constant volume, and his front foot heavy stance exposes him to leg kicks. Wrestling is obviously his A game, and his stocky build and technique allow him to find a variety of takedowns. Particularly good as a counter wrestler inside the clinch, he can find reversals from most positions. A heavy top position game with good passing, ground and pound is steady but not particularly damaging. He uses his passing to get to the back where he can effectively play the rear naked choke arm triangle changeup to seal the deal. While he has been taken down before, he's a very solid scrambler who wastes no time getting back up and has been virtually impossible to control so far. Shoinsky looks like a solid athlete and is well conditioned, but he's on the smaller side of the division and lacks comfort on the feet. It feels like Shoinsky really needs consistent takedowns to win this one. Medeiros was taken down quite a few times in his last outing against a lesser wrestler in Austin Hobart, but Hobart had the advantage of being able to strike with Medeiros on almost equal footing. Getting up from Shoinsky's top control is also not impossible. We have seen that in fights before, and Medeiros, a former Factory X fighter, is now at the MMA Lab, a camp that is seeing a lot of activity in this card, and is a camp that is known for good scrambling and grappling. While both fighters are strong in the apparent weak area of their opponent, I feel like Medeiros is better suited to exploit Shoinsky's defensive flaws on the feet, especially with leg kicks and his constant feint to set up strikes. He's also bigger, more active, and more experienced. He's the more experienced fighter of the two, especially against a higher level of opposition. Shoinsky by submission or smothering decision is not out of the realm of possibilities, but I think that Medeiros takes a decision here. That's the official pick. Okay, let's get back to the shot. Let me. Hey, Rio Sosen, what's up, my man? And James Kendrick, we have the guys here. During the review of this show, can you explain to the people what the game plan was for Mirab versus Somali 1 and why it was so weird? I tried to get into that because I was very perplexed watching that live. But I think it kind of worked. But I think it mostly worked because Somali fought like a bad fight. What is the rear naked choke to arm triangle setup? So basically, when I talk about the change up between the rear naked choke and the arm triangle, is usually when a fighter gets to mount and starts threatening with the arm triangle, forcing fighters to give up their back or fight the arm triangle. So you are like put your opponent in a pick your poison scenario where they have to choose to concede the back to avoid the arm triangle, or allow the opponent to lock in the arm triangle and fight the position from there. A lot of fighters are very effective with that, and I think it's very strong in MMA. I think a lot more guys should have like that change up in their back pocket when it comes to grappling, to be honest. Okay, let's get into the next one. I like I mean, not super like this one because like I'm not huge on Ashmus, but okay, so that's two lightweight fights in a row, right? Yeah. We stay at lightweight for our next bout. We have a fight between Killan Salkild and Janal Ashmus. So let's begin with Salkild. A long kickboxer, Salkild maintains a high output on the outside with hard kicks to all three levels. He likes to start his combinations behind stutter steps and has a penchant for kicking off his punches and punishes resets with kicks. He likes to start his combinations behind his jab too, but he can be kind of inconsistent with the jab, but he makes up for it with an active lead leg that he uses to attack with quick inside leg kicks and body kicks with very little tail. The left hook to the body is another valuable weapon for him. At range, Salkild depends on controlling the initiative for defense, using spacing and counters to keep opponents away. But he does have the ability to hide behind his lead shoulder and slip shots to come back with counters. And he's excellent at catching kicks and countering with punches or kicks of his own. Salkild likes to mix things up constantly and is a solid transitional fighter. He's good at putting takedown attempts at the end of combinations. Big and strong for the weight class, he's a scrappy wrestler who pummels well and likes to swing to the back or work trips from over-unders or the body lock. Salkild has been put flat on his back and has been controlled, but he's always looking to create space with butterfly hooks and pushing off the hips. He's another fighter that shines from the back take with excellent transitions between it and the mount, and also good at stretching opponents out. And he's a capable finisher with the rear naked choke or ground and pound from those positions. Very tough and well conditioned. Has shown some problems with his defense and cagecraft when pushed back, and has been controlled on the ground. Against him we have Janal Ashmus. Athletic but stiff, Ashmus is a well-rounded threat. Low output, Ashmus throws basically everything with power, but he can be picky with his shot selection. Despite being a bit wild, he's mechanically solid, transferring power and mostly maintaining his stance. Kicks are his most effective strikes. He's flexible, quick, and has good variety to attack all three levels. His low output allows him to be defensively minded, and he has solid footwork and head movement to keep himself safe and find counter opportunities. There's some disjoint between his head and feet though, as well as between his short hooks and long kicks. Ashmus does a lot of his best work finding takedowns in transitions, especially with his reactive shot. He can use his kick to stand up his opponent to shoot and drive to the fence, or he can frustrate foes with his range and shoot reactively in open space. He's on the small side for the division and has had trouble keeping opponents down, but he's good at stifling get-up attempts with rights and using mat returns. Ground and pound is better during transitions due to the aforementioned control issues. Ashmus is powerful and well conditioned, but his lack of connective tissue and low output limit his adaptability. This fight pits two well-rounded fighters against each other. Salkil is likely to have the edge on the striking. He's not only longer and maintains a higher volume, but he's also more comfortable with exchanges. Ashmus is likely to look for his wrestling as the path to victory in this one. That doesn't mean he cannot find something big on the feet. Salkil's defense has lapses and he might get frustrated with the defensive approach of the Circassian. It's not over for the Australian if he hits the mat though. He has been controlled in the past, but he usually fights very hard before that happens, and he's dangerous with submissions of his own. I think the combination of aggressiveness, technique, and reach will be too much for Ashmus, especially since he struggles controlling long lightweights. I think that Salkil wins this fight via second round knockout. Okay, back to the chat. Hey Nash, what's up, man? Those starting combos with start steps for Salkil make him predictable on entries. Um, no, actually, I think that Salkil actually does like a very decent job of using the those starter steps to his advantage. He can be timed, but most of the time he like uses them to play with the rhythm and mixes them with entries that do not have the starter steps. So as long as you don't do them like every time, or you don't do them to set up like the same strike or always on the same tempo, I feel like starter steps can be a useful tool. You have to be defensively minded when doing them though, because like you might like square your stance and that could expose you to counters when you're doing that. Okay. We go to featherweight for our next one. We have a fight between Ju Sang Yu and Jeka Saragi. So let's begin with the newcomer Ju Sang Yu. An athletic, confident, and well-rounded fighter, Yu fights from an upright wide stance and he mostly likes to counter while pressuring. He stacks people behind leg kicks looking to fade back or slip into big shots. His straight right hand is also an excellent counter to distance triggers. He stalks people. Oh no, I already said that, excuse me. There's not a lot of depth to his counter punching, but his spacing and reflexes are very good, and he utilizes feints well to draw attacks out. His reliance on backing up when unsure about what's coming and combination work against his pressure. Uh, it works against his pressure though, but he's quick to resume. He's strong in the clinch, he's a physical presence and an opportunistic takedown artist in there, but he can be stalled and is not very active. His stance has exposed him to takedowns in the past, especially when he's too focused on his pressure, but he has shown to be a solid defensive grappler. He remains responsible and has good timing for reversals. Solid offensively too. He has good posture and passes from top, and he's the owner of very accurate ground and pound. Sadly, he hasn't been able to put the control and the ground and pound together so far, but he has also shown an ability to chase the back, having a win be a rear naked choke. Yu has a lot of potential, but his conditioning is a question mark, and his lack of experience and depth could be problematic. Against him, we have Jeka Saragi, an explosive brawler. Saragi lacks polish, but he makes up for with instincts and aggressiveness. A big puncher with both hands and a dexterous kicker who prefers chamfered kicks. He keeps a high output, throwing basically everything with power. There's not a lot to his defense, but he can block strikes, take his head off center line when punching, and is good at catching kicks. Saragi is similarly not very nuanced inside the clinch and as a wrestler, but his physicality and timing allow him to find strikes and takedowns in transitions. A very good eye to find strikes during breaks, be it knees, long punches during retreats, and elbows inside the clinch. And he remains active with ground and pound from top position too. Saragi is a solid scrambler. He's constantly generating movement on the ground, trying to advance position or explode back to his feet. He also has a gas tank to back up his chaotic style, but his lack of defense on the feet and especially some holds as a grappler hold him back. This is a fight between confident and athletic fighters. Saragi brings more experience to the table, but Yu has a more refined and calculated style. Both guys have big power and finishing abilities, and neither is a defensive mastermind, so an early knockout either way is likely. With that in mind, it's hard to not favor the Korean here, who has a better process and is mechanically cleaner. Yu has also shown some solid grappling chops to take advantage of some of the openings the explosive scrambling of Saragi tends to leave open. There's avenues for the Indonesian here, even outside of an early KO, especially if the Korean can keep pace late in the fight. But I think the newcomer gets it done. I'm picking Yu Sang Yu to get the knockout on the second round. James said you showed that clip of you executing the intercepting straight right. Is that something anyone can do right before someone starts to attack? Uh, yeah, I mean, that's a mostly a counter that when you when you're countering, like you can use for a trigger like different stuff. Like some people use the hips, some people use the shoulders. I feel like that intercepting like strike is a trigger that you use when you use distance as your trigger. Like you drill that when someone crosses a certain line, you throw that strike. You seems to have a like a very decently long reach. So he can get away with that against longer opponents. But you don't need like super long reach. You just like need to like throw when you have the right distance. Someone that is very good at doing that is Cody Garbrandt. If you see, he counters a lot, like based on distance more of the strike that he's like trying to counter. Hey, Sammy Arnett. Saw the news that Jordan Breen passed away. Really sad. I know a lot of media members were inspired by him. Yeah, man, it's like insanely sad news, man. I don't know the circumstances around that. Uh, but yeah, I mean, uh, I to be quite honest, like I wasn't huge on. Not that I was not a fan. Like always hear about Breen or read his work. I always liked it. Um, but and in fact I wasn't aware of how much I have been following him, especially the Sure Dog old articles. I was very big on that like 10 years ago. Um, but yeah, man, it's like very bad news, man. Like he was so knowledgeable, especially in a time where there were not a lot of like hardcore fans that like not only like knew all the fighters but also like had a very good understanding of the sport, man. Like Jordan Breen was like he for sure paved the way for a lot of like not only like media members but also like people like me and what we do right now. So so yeah, those are like very bad and sad news, man. My condolences go to anyone who knew Jordan personally. Let's get into the next one. Next, we have a flyweight bout between Ariane Lipski da Silva against Wang Kong. So let's begin with Ariane da Silva. A meat and potatoes kickboxer with decent power. She likes to pressure behind feints, looking for spots to put short combinations together. She doesn't have much tools to control the pace, but she makes sure to put numbers together during every exchange. Attacks all three levels and making a good use of kicks to punctuate her combos. Of note is her bodywork with snap kicks to the body but also sneaky punches with no level change aimed to the midsections to start combinations. There's not much in the way of head movement, but she's a capable counter puncher both with the right hand and the left hook. Um, Da Silva is strong in the clinch, she's very urgent about digging for underhooks, and she can find punishing knees to the body from a number of different positions inside the clinch, and will look for elbows during clinches too. She also has some counter wrestling ability in the form of trips and throws from the clinch, especially when being pushed. She's a solid grappler with good ground and pound and scrambling abilities, but has been controlled and submitted by solid top control players in the past. Da Silva is an all-round solid fighter, but she lacks a second gear, especially during close fights or when she's on a scoring deficit. Cardio and toughness are pros, but her tendency to get control on the ground uh, and lag behind during transitions is a con. Against her, we have Wang Kong, a former Sanda and kickboxing standout. Kong has adapted her toolset well for MMA. She has some versatility to her movement with decent footwork in both directions, but she's at her best pressuring. She likes to stalk her opposition behind feints, and she throws her rangefinders, her jabs, side kick, and inside leg kick with power. The right hand is her more damaging punch, and she can find it from range as a strike or from up close as a short hook. She can build combinations based on reactions, usually entering off stutter steps and knee lifts. Countering, she likes to intercept before putting combinations together and angling out. While her footwork is good, she can tend to loop her shots during prolonged exchanges, and she doesn't move her head much. She's good at ducking under strikes and grabbing clinches to smother offense before swiftly pivoting and getting back into range. She's also a good kick catcher like most Sanda fighters, but this can be a dangerous game to play, as we saw when she lost via head kick. Her takedown defense has been very solid so far, using good use of whizzers and underhooks coupled with her footwork to deny takedowns. And she has shown takedowns of her own in the form of kick catches and also quick reactive knee tap. From top, she has damaging ground pound and has shown some grappling chops, including an impressive mounted guillotine victory in her road to UFC fight. Kong is tough and well conditioned. Defense during her own attacks and her willingness to engage when she's in trouble are her most apparent issues at the time. This is a bout between strikers. On the surface, it seems like a rough matchup for the Brazilian. Kong is more dynamic and trickier as a striker, on top of being naturally the bigger woman here. Lipski da Silva does have some tools for the matchup. She's better than average at dealing with kicks, and she's strong inside the clinch. Kong might be the bigger puncher, but Lipski has power of her own and good mechanics inside the pocket, so anything can happen. Grappling is also a question mark. Again, Kong looks like the more dynamic athlete in that phase, but it wouldn't be a surprise if Da Silva has an edge if she gets to top position. All of these points do not negate the fact that the advantages for the Chinese kickboxer are apparent. Kong is more powerful and brings more depth to the table, even if she can be wilder and more inconsistent at times. I think that Wang Kong wins a decision here. Rising star Ariane Lipski da Silva. She's not Bruno. What is Bruno Santos? Or I don't even remember the name of the dude, man. This seems like another setup for Kong due to the styles, but do you think Kong's propensity to get in long exchanges and jack mechanics will cost her here? There's a small chance, but like yeah, this seems like a very similar matchup to the Bruna Brazil one. I feel like Lipski, if anything, is better at dealing with kicks. But on the flip side, like Bruna was a lot faster. I feel like Lipski is not going to like being like the lesser athlete. He was. Is this going to be a long card with a bunch of decisions on the undercard? I'm not super sure about how my predictions are going. So far, we have a decision on the opener, then a knockout on the second one. We are like 2 decisions, 2 knockouts so far, so we'll see how it progresses. A few of these ones should be exciting though. I don't remember his name, man. He was erased from rising star to nobody, thanks to the Hanyak. The Hanyak, man. He put an end to the hype train there. Okay, let's get to the next one. We go to welterweight for our next fight. We have a fight between Chaos Williams and Andreas Gustafsson. Oh, let's begin with Williams. A powerful athlete, Williams can tend to be low volume. He mostly likes to move opponents into shots or sit down for big counters. At range, he likes using his jab and his leg kick to compete and find openings. He also likes countering leg kicks with his big right hand, and he's dangerous inside the pocket with power and speed. If he doesn't find his counters, he will close the distance with blitzes and leaping combos, having a penchant for the leaping left hook. He likes to throw his right hand to get the opponent circling into the left hand. He throws himself into these blitzes with little in the way of defense. The stance falls apart and chin up in the air. Outside leg kicks and long front kicks round up the rest of his striking game. Defense is average but helped by his huge power and counter threat. Physical inside the clinch, he mostly stalls against the cage there but can find big shots during breaks. His wrestling is also helped by his athleticism, but he has been exposed to takedowns, losing his footing, looking for his combos. Stalling from top position with solid control and service over ground and pound. A good scrambler who can explode out of a lot of bad positions. He was caught in a transitions with a dash choke in his last fight. Williams is a solid athlete and better conditioned than you would think, but he lacks tools and adaptability to be a consistent high-level fighter. Against him we have Andreas Gustafsson, a very aggressive and physical clinch fighter. Gustafsson wastes no time entering the clinch of his lead hook, the overhand, or a level change. He usually doesn't spend much time at range. When he does, he's stiff but finds behind a dipping jab, big hooks from both sides, but also a sneaky straight right hand. His defense is bare bones, but he has some ideas of circling and he's very proactive with grabbing clinches. Inside the clinch, he's relentless, driving opponents to the cage and constantly attacking with elbows, knees, uppercuts, and using breaks to land combos with his hands. He mixes in foot sweeps and whizzer kicks to keep landing strikes, and he sticks to his opponents like glue during tie-ups. Changing levels against the fence to look for double legs adds to the mix-up and threats. And while not super concerned with top control, his ground and pound is equally punishing and a good finishing tool. So far, he has shown to be an active scrambler, but the level of his grappling is mostly a question mark against high-level opposition. Gustafsson is physical and has the conditioning to push his style. His range striking and defense are bare bones and likely the path to victory against him. This fight's very simple. Either Chaos Williams finds something big that puts Gustafsson out, or he gets round in the clinch onslaught. Williams is strong inside the clinch and he's a solid grappler, but he's not used to dealing with this level of activity. Gustafsson might struggle imposing his physicality early though. If he gets stuck in range, in a range battle, he's the least dangerous of the two, and both are basically equally awkward mechanically wise. But the Swede once again has an edge with activity, and we've seen the American flustered with jabs in the past. That said, Gustafsson is probably predictable enough on the lead and backing up that Williams has a decent shot to just end him if they spend time kickboxing. I think the most likely scenario though is that Gustafsson eventually gets the fight he wants. Williams has been very tough to finish with strikes, but I think he might fall this time. The pick is Gustafsson by knockout on the second round. Is having a strong right hand a cheat code in women's MMA, like Jack Slack said? Pretty much. Pretty much, because like you can get into slop exchanges and you will win them. You will win the strikes just because like you're hitting harder, and that can mean a lot in a fight between fighters against a fighter that has no power. And that usually happens the most in women's fights. I miss Rising Star, what his face. Okay, so for you guys that are watching like on live, like those are some sketchy tattoos by this guy Gustafsson, right? Oh, but you would have to see, man. You would have to see what he used to have instead of that bird that he has here under his neck now. Because what he used to have was a lot worse. A lot worse, man. He also has he has runes, 2 iron crosses, and used to have like a certain eagle that you might associate with some kind of people in Germany. So yeah, the excuse that he's from Sweden, and that's why he has the runes. Like, I'm not buying that, man. I'm not buying that. Two iron crosses, man. He has one on his shoulder and one on his leg, man. So yeah, man. I really hope Chaos Williams wins here, but I'm not expecting him to. And any pay per view is not complete if we don't have the big boys. We have a heavyweight bout between Sergey Spivak and Waldo Cortez Acosta. Let me get to the fighters here. Okay, let's begin with Spivak. A wrestler grappler, Spivak usually fights behind a stiff jab on the feet, coupled with solid leg kicks both to the inside and outside. He can counter while leaning back and usually tries to tie up to limit exchanges. Spivak is decently agile for a man his size, but his defensive options are limited if he's not allowed to find collar ties or underhook during exchanges. If he does get to the clinch, he's actually a tricky wrestler to deal with. In open space, Spivak will use his footwork and foot sweeps to set opponents up for a variety of trips and hip tosses that he can land without securing match control. If he drives his foe to the cage, he's also a strong wrestler from over-unders and the body lock with solid trips, throws, and mat returns. If he establishes control on the ground, Spivak is quick to use rights to advance position, and once he gets to a dominant one, it's a pick your poison scenario. Ground and pound, the rear naked choke, and the arm triangle are all available to him to finish the deal. Not much of a Spivak off his back has been seen, but he seems to be at least a capable guard player, going by his impressive armbar off his back against BJJ black belt Marcin Tybura. Cardio and toughness are some of his best attributes. His lack of power relative to the division and lackluster entries to the clinch are his biggest issues. Against him, we have Walter Cortez Acosta. The former baseball player is mostly a boxer. His jab is his best attribute. He controls exchanges with it, moving his feet behind double and triple jabs, putting the right hand behind it, or looking to shoulder roll or fade back from any potential counters. His right hand is at its best when he throws it straight after the jab, but he likes his fast pitch overhand and a slapping left hook when countering or putting combos together. He also likes to shift into a long left hook after stepping in with the right hand. His front foot heavy jabbing stance has left him vulnerable to leg kicks numerous times in the past. And he has somewhat adjusted, developing a solid inside leg kick of his own that helps him with redistributing his weight and competing at kicking range. Not much has been seen from him inside the clinch and as a grappler, but he looks solid, physically strong and decently athletic. Waldo looks for underhooks and fight grips effectively inside the clinch, and his decent footwork is also an asset in those situations. The one time that he had to defend takedowns, he conceded a few but remained calm and was able to wall walk eventually. He also showed wrestling chops of his own, taking down Robelis Despain, showing well-roundedness and willingness to take the path of least resistance in fights. Acosta might be a bit one note, but he has shown to be smarter than the average heavyweight. Cardio has looked at least decent while keeping an active pace. His leg kick defense remains a concern and his grappling still a bit of a question mark. While a very different fighter, one might wonder if Spivak will look to replicate what Rogerio de Lima did in his performance against Cortez Acosta. In his only defeat, the American's jab was neutralized by leg kicks, and then he was taken down against the fence a couple of times. Spivak is not the potent striker the Brazilian is, but he has a jab of his own to compete with Waldo, and he already has a penchant for kicking the legs. And as well-rounded as Cortez Acosta has looked, it is hard to imagine his grappling is on the level of the Moldovan. On the other hand, Spivak has struggled with his entries, and while his jab has been a bit of a saving grace for that, the American has the better jab and is also more mobile here. It wouldn't be rare to see Spivak show levels if this hits the mat, but I think Waldo is going to frustrate him on the feet and deny good entries to allow that. Waldo Cortez Acosta takes a decision. That's my pick. This fight is a man. The worst. I always say this, man. The worst part about Waldo Cortez Acosta is that he's pretty decent. So you just like never get to see him lose. That he's just winning the whole time. Like he's always winning, and he's like very boring to watch. I mean, he has been getting more aggressive. He's not like any cooler now that he's more aggressive, but at least he's finishing fights like some more often now. But on the past, it was like he was getting leg kick and he was like jamming and he was jamming like harder than he was getting leg kick and he was winning like that. Oh, it sucked, man. I bet Waldo is like a cool guy in person, but he's like so annoying to watch, man. But I always say like he's pretty decent for a heavyweight, and I think he's probably not going to be champion, but he has the potential to get very far in the division. To be honest, we moved one division down to light heavyweight. We have a fight between Asamat Mursakinov and Brendan Hibero. Not Brendan, it's Brentson. The autocorrect here in my computer is messing me up. Okay, let's begin with Mursakanov. A stocky southpaw striker, Mursakanov is deceivingly quick and technical. He establishes a long range and looks to close the distance behind constant feints and a stiff jab that he will throw no matter his opponent's stance. While he's dangerous with his lead side with power jabs, big right hooks, and sneaky uppercuts, he's usually looking to set up rear side attacks, overhand strides, rear hooks, and powerful stepping knees. Mursakanov also works well in combination when he has opponents backing up with good shot selection. His decent control is his main mean of defense, angling after his attacks and anticipating counters leaning back. His movement is not only limited to leanbacks though, and his footwork and counter ability insulate him from longer exchanges that aren't on his terms. He's also good at defending kicks with checks and parries. Not a lot of his grappling has been seen against high level opposition, but his takedown defense has held up so far in the UFC despite not being largely tested. He has looked strong in the clinch with dirty boxing skills and complemented by his solid footwork to control tie-ups. Mursakanov might be stocky for the division, but he's quick and dynamic, but his conditioning has been inconsistent. Against him, we have Brentson Hibero, a tall stance, long fighter. There's quite a bit of junk in Hibero's mechanics, but he's deceptively crafty. He takes advantage of his long range with a constant jab and a very long right hand, and is active with level change feints. He likes using the 1-2 as a lead and as a counter, and he has decent positioning to find his spots. Kicks to all three levels and knees to take advantage of his height complement his game. He can get aggressive with combinations against the fence with decent shot selection. His defense revolves around distance and blocks. His head movement is inconsistent and tends to keep his head on the center line and his chin high during exchanges. Not only a striker, Hibero is also a willing wrestler and grappler, strong from body locks against the fence. He's aided by his size and physical strength. His footwork and decision making when going for takedowns can be suspect and exploited though. He has ended on the bottom trying to force takedowns. An opportunistic submission grappler, he mostly likes to fight his guillotine in transitions, but he showed variety with a power Kimura in his last fight. Durable and decently conditioned, Hibero is held back by his willingness to accept the direction of a fight and defensive holds when pushed back. I went into this one expecting to easily pick Mursakanov, but Hibero has some important advantages. He has a huge reach advantage in this matchup, and he has countering ability. He could track Azamat on the retreat or use his inside angle counter right if the Russian doesn't get the right distance. Hibero might also be able to tire his opponent with his grappling mix-ups and kicks to the body. Despite being closer than what I originally thought, Murzakanov still has a lot of going for him in this matchup. Hibero is capable in open stance matchups, but Murzakanov is the more sophisticated striker and the bigger hitter of the two, and his ability to extend combinations and control breaks with his footwork are likely to be key. Hibero might have success grappling or taking the fight to deep waters, but I think that Murzakanov gets a TKO on the second round. Uh, will he be better than Mick Parkin? Waldo, that's kind of rough. I mean, I feel like Mick Parkin has like a better put together game, but I think Cortez Acosta is. Uh, I think Cortez Acosta is more athletic and has a better feel for fighting. Like, like Cortez Acosta, when he gets behind the jab, he's janky, but he controls the fights. He controls the fight very well with his jab, and he frustrates fighters. And I feel like you need like a bit of comfort and confidence for doing that. I think Mick Parkin is like more technical and better put together, but he doesn't have the same feel to take over fights. I feel that's why Mick Parkin gets into so many like close fights. And like Cortez Acosta is not a finisher. Um, Cortez Acosta is not a finisher, but you can tell that he has pop because he makes fighters respect him with the jab. And when he lands like those like ugly like left hooks or overhand rights, he hurts people. I feel like Parkin like it's not as dynamic, to be honest. So while I feel like Mick Parkin has the potential to be better, I feel for the time being, I feel like Waldo Cortez Acosta is the better fighter of the two. Oh, the big Waldo? That's insane, man. With several consecutive little Waldos. I've never heard that the big Waldo, man. I try to pay attention to the to that. Oh, finally a good one, man. We have a flyweight banger for our next one. We have a fight between Bruno Silva, Bulldog, and Joshua Ban. So let's begin with uh, Bruno Silva. Okay, Bruno Silva, stocky and scrappily well-rounded threat. Silva fights out of a wide, bouncy stance, constantly feigning, looking to aggressively close the distance in blitzes. He feints with his hands, hips, and level changes, and allow him to dart in with big right hands, slipping left hooks, and kicks to all three levels. He also has good counter ability with cross counters, lead hooks, and uppercuts according to the reads he makes. Defense at range revolves largely around his spacing and counters. While he can take angles and move his head at spots, he can be inconsistent, especially when dealing with straight shots, feints, and combinations. An avid dirty boxer inside the clinch, he's very active with uppercuts, and he has an arsenal of trips and throws that he can use to reposition, regain the initiative, or complete takedowns. His blitzing style and stature also allow him to change levels and find takedowns in open space. A good grappler, Silva is not very controlling, but he has solid ground pound and is good at taking the back during scrambles. Takedown defense has been solid, but he exposes himself in transition during escapes. Silva is game and well conditioned, but his lack of control tools mean he has to rely too much on brawling and takedowns to secure victories. Against him, we have Joshua Ban, a smooth and athletic boxer with a functional kicking game to add variety. Ban is at his best walking people down, poking foes with his jabs, side kicks, front kicks, and leg kicks, gathering reactions. He either looks for spots to open up with tight combinations or he waits for counter opportunities. Ban likes to counter early in exchanges, timing simultaneous counters, pull counters, or coming back off slips, and he carries power in both hands. He likes to attack the body often when putting combinations together. He doesn't have a lot of setup for his kicks, but he has good timing and speed, and he's sneaky with his left high kick at the end of combinations. Ban has defensive options with solid mechanics to his footwork and head movement, but he's not a layered defensive fighter. This is especially apparent when hanging at range or when he's pushed back, being vulnerable when he doesn't have the initiative. He usually relies on his excellent vision and the control of the initiative with his pressure to keep himself safe. His takedown defense also has been very strong, especially in the first layer, with his vision and pressure being aided by an explosive sprawl. Against the fence, his athleticism and low center of gravity have helped him defend most takedowns, and he's urgent about digging underhooks. He has also shown a good ability to find takedowns of his own, with a good level change and solid timing, and has shown the ability to maintain top control while landing solid ground and pound. He has answered a lot of the wrestling questions in his last two fights. Joshua Ban is very athletic, tough, and well conditioned. His defensive flaws when pushed back are his most notorious flaws. After clearing two different wrestlers, Ban now faces a more well-rounded approach in Silva. What Silva can lack in the wrestling offered by Durden and Suruya, he makes up for with a more aggressive striking approach and power. On top of that, Silva might be better suited to make something happen in transition, especially if he can find the back during a scramble. That being said, Ban is the one carrying the striking advantage, not only being sharper but also owning the control tools the Brazilian lacks. Silva has a shot with his counter punching and the aforementioned danger in transition, but Ban seems to be a very bad matchup, to be honest. I expect the Burmese to stuff takedowns and control the fight with his jab and superior counter punching, and I think that Ban is going to find the finish with strikes on round 3. Joshua Ban season, man. We all want the big Ban here. Why does Ban start so slow? I feel like he wants to be very sure about what he's going to do. To go back to a very popular meme in MMA Twitter, like he's like Pierre Yan, like downloading the information. He's downloading data. No, but yeah, actually, I think it is a little bit of that. Like, even though it sounds like a meme, but I feel like he likes to make his reads. So he's usually like at the beginning of fights, he's just pressuring and poking and poking and poking until he feels like he has a read on the shoulders, on the hips of his opponent, and he starts opening up with combinations and with his counters. Ban and JDM, the kings of the body punching crew, for sure, man. I really want to give Ban a body punching crew T-shirt, man. Hopefully in a couple months I can afford that. Average star Bruno Silva with get plus. Yeah, at least he's not fighting the Hanyak, man. He's not fighting the Hanyak. Oh, I hate this one, man. Next, we have a welterweight fight between Vicente Luque and Kevin Holland. So let's begin with Luque, formerly one of the most dangerous strikers in the division with an almost as dangerous opportunistic front headlock submission game. Luque has simply not looked the same since his Belal Mohamed rematch, and things seemingly got worse after suffering from brain bleed in his Jeff Neal fight. During his prime, Luque was a powerful striker and owner of one of the deadliest left hooks in the game. Kicks to all 3 levels and a stiff jab allowed Luque to walk people down and allow him to build combinations or to wait for counter opportunities. A punching threat from both hands, Luque would also pile up damage to the body and legs with kicks, punches, and strong knees from the clinch. Luque is one of those fighters that only moves his head when attacking with his own combinations, being proactive with defense and taking his head off center line. When put on the back foot, Luque is a lot more likely to back up and use a high elbow guard to protect, often exposing himself to combinations. But his check hook gave him defensive options, especially to get his back off the fence. Luque has historically been a solid wrestler defensively and offensively, but both aspects have seemed to take a hit in later years. He has been especially susceptible to being taken down when he's moving to shots. Still a physical presence and a large welterweight, his dynamism and speed have taken a hit, meaning he usually has to grind takedowns against the fence. As a grappler, Luque is all about the front headlock, in particularly the Dars, but also the Anaconda. He will fish for the overhook from a number of positions, and his finishing with it is great. It is hard to tell what the problem is with Luque other than wear and tear and a scary brain injury. It is probably also related to confidence. He's not as comfortable getting into exchanges anymore and is playing a more reserved game. While still skilled, he can run out of ideas when getting into the pocket is not his endgame anymore. And this accentuates some of his problems against mobile opponents and open stance matchups. Cardio seems to still be there, but his once legendary durability seems average at best now. Against him, we have Kevin Holland, very long and lanky striker. Again, back at 170, this is the best division for Holland to take advantage of his physical gifts and style. He usually establishes long range behind a variety of kicks and straight punches from both stances. Despite his long frame and long range tools, he's not shy about closing the distance, but he can be vulnerable when he closes distance without moving his head. He puts long combinations together inside the pocket and has surprisingly decent defense in there, moving his head and guarding with his forearm and shoulders, being strangely harder to hit on the inside than when moving forwards or even in open space. Talking about moving forwards, when he does so, he ends up in the clinch a lot, as he usually breaks his stance with shifts, especially when throwing his rear hand. Being in the clinch isn't entirely bad though, as he's good at framing and finding strikes in the clinch and breaks, possessing nasty elbows, knees, and loopy punches that are complemented by his frame. He's also good at using his length to defend takedowns, especially with the whizzer, but can be taken down by good entries in open space, especially by tall clinchers. A constant scrambler are very annoying to deal with from the bottom. He can be controllable if put flat on his back. Holland is dangerous from the front headlock, where he can put his long arms to good use, with the dart stroke similarly to Luque. Holland is well conditioned and very tough. He has been mostly beat by being put on his back, by people matching his length, especially if they kick, or when opponents consistently attack his body and legs. This would have been actually an intriguing fight in which I would have favored Luque a few years ago, but Gorimbo, early club and soft notwithstanding, Luque has been looked very past his best for a while now. Holland has stagnated, I feel, but he remains a very annoying matchup at welterweight, especially against old fighters. What do I mean with old? Luque is less than a year older than Holland and has 6 less fights. But he's the one who looks more shop-worn and compromised nowadays. The biggest problem with this iteration of Luque is that he seems to not want to engage in the pocket anymore, and his left hook in exchanges was basically the backbone of his game. There are still some paths to victory for Luque, as he could leg kick and counterpunch his way into some key takedowns. Holland has proven to be very hard to control at 170 though, and his considerable reach advantage coupled with his quickness makes me side with him at range. If Luque shots a bad takedown like he did against Buckley, Holland might end the night with either ground and pound or a submission. There's not really much to say here. To be a different fight, Luque would have to show up in a form that he hasn't in a while. I think that Holland is going to frustrate him at range, find a shot to put him down, and follow him to the ground for the finish. My final prediction is Kevin Holland via TKO on the second round. I hate this one, man. I hate this one so much, man. Mick Maynard, man. I know so little about Mick Maynard, man. But if he's responsible about this kind of matchmaking, then that's kind of sucks, man. If Luque wasn't damaged goods, this would be the best fight on the card. Yeah, man, this would be a sick fight if this wasn't this like current version of Luke that is like completely shot. But hey, we have one good fight after this one, so at least we have that looking to look forward to. We go back to bantamweight because we have a fight between Mario Bautista and a debuting Patchy Mix. Let's begin with Bautista. Aggressive and well-rounded, Bautista is long and strong. He looks to fight either at long range or close the distance all the way to the clinch. From long distance, he throws hard leg kicks and jabs that allow him to set a bigger strike from both sides to all levels. A solid defense, especially when pressuring. Of note is his ability to pivot off his slips. His tall stance has been exploitable by overhands and wide hooks over the top in the past though, and it can expose his body as well. Bautista can close the distance behind combinations, a dangerous flying knee, or shooting for takedowns, converting into clinches if he's not successful with the initial shot. He's strong in the clinch. He's very good at finding elbows and knees from a variety of grips. And he's also content to control opponents against the fence to wear on them and win minutes. He's reversible in there, but he's urgent about pummeling and pivoting to not spend too much time when he's the one with his back on the fence. An increasingly good wrestler, he's strong dragging people down from body locks or swimming to the back inside the clinch. Big ground and pound if he gets to top position with solid positioning. Bautista has a knack for finding the back during get-ups and is a good rear naked choke finisher. Bautista can be vulnerable to takedowns and can lose scrambles when rushing takedown attempts, but he works hard to get back to his feet and has been hard to control. He's a pace and transition based fighter who can have lapses of defense in all areas, but he compensates with aggressiveness and an ability to compete everywhere the fight takes place. Against him we have Patchy Mix, a long, tall, kicky grappler. A southpaw, Patchy fights out of a tall stance, looking to establish a long range with roundhouse and snap kicks to all three levels. He uses his lead hand to actively fight hands, looking to set up the outside angle for a kick or a long straight left. A quick jab, a wide counter right hook, and powerful knees round up his range game. His ability to punch off kicks and knees has proven effective when pushing opponents back, in part thanks to his length. While not very nuanced defensively, his awareness with his foot positioning, good sense of distance, and ability to block with his lead elbow, shoulder roll, and keep a high left hand make it hard to hit clean at range. But he's kickable to the legs and body and lacks hip movement, especially when dealing with combinations. Level changes into clinches offer another layer of defense. Physically strong inside the clinch, Mix is dangerous if he gets to a body lock, being able to complete a variety of takedowns, particularly if he can drag a leg to get to the back. He's also the owner of powerful knees during tie-ups, but he can lack activity, especially in open space. Mixed grappling is his game. His guillotine is one of his winning conditions, and he can find it in the clinch and during transitions. Not only he has no trouble pulling guard with it, but he can also use it to control the opponent and sweep if he's not completely locked in. The back is another strong suit, being the owner of a technically solid rear naked choke, and he's very hard to shake from that position. Ground and pound during transition is also noteworthy, but he's more of a conservative top control player if he gets an opponent flat on his back. Patch is tough, well conditioned, and a threat everywhere. His lack of depth in striking and limited wrestling options are his biggest drawbacks. It is a very interesting fight between long and well-rounded fighters with a lot of similarities actually. Both guys are the same age with similar resumes against high-level opposition. Mix finds himself in the plus side of the height and reach equation, but it looks to me like the length parity actually favors Bautista. While Patchy is the more structured striker, Bautista is more active and resourceful and might have the tools to make the former Bellator champion uncomfortable. Bautista has become a very good wrestler, but he needs to be careful in this fight. If he gets Patchy on his back, it could be a round in the back for Mix. But you gotta remember that Bautista is also good from the back. He also has like a good guillotine. He's probably familiar with those. And second shout out of the night for the MMA Lab. They have been very active for this event. They have like Shan on the main event. So maybe like they are trying very hard. but they have like very good grappling and scrambling. So I don't think it's game over if Pachi gets to take Bautista down. I feel like if Bautista doesn't get reckless with transitions, I trust his wrestling defense, more fluid striking, and clean shots to allow him to get ahead on the scorecards. This is a very well matched fight. I think a finish or a decision for Pachi aren't crazy by any means, but I think I'll go with the upset here. I'm picking Bautista by decision. Okay, Rio says, what type of game plan would you give Bautista against Mix? I think I think what makes me nervous in this fight is that Bautista is like likes too much to mix it up. And I think in this fight, I think like Bautista would be better advised to play striker. I think he's the better striker here. He's a very solid defensive wrestler. I feel like he can win this fight on the feet. I think Bautista, if he gets in trouble, it's probably because he's trying to force a takedown on Pachi. Hey, if they have a good scout like you, Ghost, he might be able to time that right hand, man. I don't know the situation in MMA Lab when it comes to scouting, though. I think that I'm pretty sure that Conor Reavish has made a scouting for the MMA Lab in the past, so maybe they have some good scouts, man. If he just strikes, he might beat Mix. Yeah, that's exactly my opinion, man. But you know, Mario like loves to mix it up, man, even when he doesn't need to. So that's what makes the like kind of sketchy. I understand Pachi being the favorite. Uh, but yeah, I feel like if Bautista like keeps focus here, just like strikes in the clinch, especially in open space, uh, just keeps it on the outside. He's the better striker here, and he's very solid as a wrestler. And Apache kind of overrated as a wrestler, to be honest. Oh, the next one sucks too, man. We have a middleweight bout between Kelvin Gastelum and Joe Pfeiffer next. So let's begin with Pfeiffer. A heavy-handed pressuring boxer with hard leg kicks and a predilection for the left hook. He has a decent jab that he uses to fill the gaps while he waits for counter opportunities. A wide leaping left hook both to the head and to the body works as his big strike from distance, and he pairs it well with the big overhand. His left hook is also effective on the counter, especially when fighters try to close too aggressively on him, but he needs the right spacing since he tends to throw it too wide. His defense is pretty solid moving forwards. When he has control of the initiative, he's good at seeing shots coming and backing up or sleeping the first shot to come back with short combinations. Different stories when he's pushed back though. Despite the fact that he can move around the outside well, his lack of proactive head movement and process rear its head in those situations. Pfeiffer is a physically strong wrestler with a good level change, and he can finish his takedowns in open space or against the fence, leveraging his strength. From top position, he's heavy and controls well. He likes to advance to half guard to start setting up his arm triangle, which is his go-to finisher on the ground. But he also has heavy ground and pound if opponents try to stall him. Pfeiffer starts sharp and fast and throws most of his strikes with full power, and that cost him in his fight against Hermanson. Conditioning issues remain to be seen since. His chin seems solid, but his shadow skill set doesn't afford him many options to adapt outside of like big stroke stuff. For example, like starting to pressure or trying to wrestle. Against him, we have Kelvin Gastelum. As stocky bouncy southpaw, Gastelum has made a career out of stepping into range with his 1-2. He plays a lot with feints and rhythm off it to find it consistently, and he's sharp out of the gate, is quick, and punches longer than people expect. Double jabs, setups from both inside and outside foot positioning, and some change-ups with uppercuts and overhands complement his range game. A wide right hook that he can use both on the lead and on the counter, and the occasional powerful left kick to any of the three levels round up his striking. Gastelum usually maintains a decent pace, but his minimal toolset can get him figured out. relied on rhythm manipulation and reads for success. He mostly relies on his foot speed and spacing to bait attacks, but he has solid reactive head movement at open space that he can use to pressure as well. Grindy wrestling, which usually initiates off a quick level change. Not very controlling on the ground, he mostly transitions to his wrestling to eat up the clock, win moments, and surprise opponents. Historically, a good scrambler, mistakes in transitions during get-ups have been his most glaring flaw on the mat. Cardio has been surprisingly decent for Gastelum throughout his career, and he seems to still have his durability. It's his motivation and lack of adaptability that remain his biggest issues. So Gastelum back at 185 after a short stint back at 170. This again puts in doubt his motivation, and as he ages, I feel like his chances at 185 become slimmer. Here he fights a fellow big puncher in the huge Pfeiffer. Gastelum could play a stick and move game, trying to replicate some of the success of Jack Hermanson that he had against Pfeiffer. It's either that or he's able to win a fencing match in open space against the younger, longer fighter. It's not like Pfeiffer has any kind of depth advantage to his striking, but as already mentioned, he's the less shop-worn, fresher fighter here. On top of that, Pfeiffer might also find some success using his grappling and size advantage, depending on what Gastelum offers here. Not much else we can say here. It depends on the form of Gastelum shows up, and even if he shows up, this might still be a hard fight for him. So I gotta pick Pfeiffer by decision here. Yeah, Joe Pfeiffer is an interesting plant, man. He's like decent, but like, uh, oh, B. Joe Pfeiffer, that's disgusting, man. B. Joe Pfeiffer. Do you know that B. Joe Pfeiffer means like take your shitty contender series wage and be thankful to Dana for the rest of time. That's basically all it means, man. Is Kelvin Gastelum going to make weight? Has Kelvin ever missed weight for 185? I'm not. I'm not sure, man. When was Gastelum washed after the Darren Till fight? Probably, man. Was Gastelum versus Adesanya the last time he looked like decent? And he looked pretty good against Chris Curtis, I guess. Even though I don't think he won that fight, but he looked pretty good there. I didn't think it was like a super easy matchup, to be honest. Like Curtis a lot more comfortable with the close stances. And Gastelum like show up pretty decent there. Anyway, let's get into the co-main. And with that, we are at the co-main event of the night. We have a fight for the Women's Bantamweight Championship. We have Juliana Pena against Kyla Harrison. So Pena here comes off her very lackluster win over Pennington in a fight that I don't think she won, to be honest. Harrison, on the other hand, has been successful twice at making 135 and looked very solid in her wins against Holly Holm and Ketlin Vieira. While Pena was never a technical marvel, on her prime she was a dangerous space grappler with ground and pound and a submission game. And not a lot is left of that, to be honest. Her physicality has looked very diminished in her last few outings. Her wrestling in particular has seemed to lose a lot of potency, so she's left with her grappling savvy and on the feet with a diving jab and her scrappiness. Harrison, on the other hand, there's always the question mark of how the weight class is going to hold up. She has looked fine so far, but there's a chance it goes wrong eventually. She's a huge 135er. Assuming both show up in decent shape relative to their last outings, this shouldn't be hard to pick, man. Harrison is the more powerful athlete, the superior wrestler, which is Peña's A game. And while might not be the most comfortable striker, she's mechanically the cleaner striker of the two as well, man. Peña's chances here rely greatly on Harrison imploding a la Amanda Nunes in their first fight, or just getting tired soon enough for the champion to turn the tables. As I mentioned, Peña is still a solid grappler, and there's no denying the heart and the dog that she has. But the matchup is simply too rough, man. I don't need to go into much more detail, I think. I think if Harrison makes weight and doesn't like get automatically tired, I don't see her losing this fight in any way. The pick is very easy, is Kyla Harrison by decision. Yeah, I think Kyla has been like a more of a traditional wrestler in MMA, and that suits her very well. Like unlike Ronda, she still has knees somehow after her judo career. You gotta consider though that like Caitlin Vieira is like a legit judo black belt. Obviously, like Kyla is like a gold medalist, right? But she has been focusing on MMA, so maybe like she didn't find like to move Caitlyn around so easily as other girls. And you saw like for example like Macy Chiasson has been very successful like just grabbing clinches and trying to wrestle people at 135. And Caitlyn Vieira just reversed her every time. Did you like my sarcastic post about Peña's game just being a dipping jab? Yeah, that was funny, man. Okay, let's go to the main event. And we stay at 135 for the gentlemen this time. We have a rematch. We have Marav Dvalishvili, the champion, defending against the man from whom he took the title, Shan O'Malley. So let's talk about the rematch. This is a rematch of a weird fight. Since the original fight, the first one, Marav defended his title in a closer than it seemed fight against Umar Nurmagomedov, and O'Malley hasn't done anything. Like he hasn't fought. Uh, Murad moved around on the outside a lot more than a lot of us expected in their first outing. To be fair, like at the time that was already a development under the coaching of Young Wood. More perplexing was O'Malley's approach, who seemed prepared to pressure initially, but then gave ground back easily anytime that Murad pushed. O'Malley wasn't able to establish any kind of long range with his jab. His front kicks to the body were absent for most of the fight, and then he was very successful, hurting Murad bad with them on the fifth round. So what's going to happen here? Um, I think it is hard to tell. I mean, obviously, like, are we expecting a repeat of the first one? The first one gave us some uh, important information though. One is the physicality of Marav. If Marav gets any kind of like entry on Chan O'Malley, O'Malley's going for a ride. Like Marav is just like way stronger and a better wrestler. Uh, O'Malley he was successful on the fifth round, like just like trying to bait Marav into like single legs and just like limp legging very early out of exchanges using his length. But anytime they tied up, like Marav was like way stronger. One adjustment for O'Malley if he gets taken down, I think, is that he should just like turtle immediately. Marav basically never seems interested in taking the back. He's very good at using rights and mat returns. But every time that O'Malley or basically anyone else like just turtles and tries to like get to the cage, get 2-on-1, wall walk, they are able to do so. So I think O'Malley needs to take more risks if he gets taken down. He spent quite quite some time on his back in their first fight against Marav. I think he cannot afford that. The question we're all thinking is like, is O'Malley is going to use the snap kicks to the body more in this time around? I think that's likely, and we're not like super sure if Marav is going to come with an answer to that. Like maybe he has been drilling like kick catches here, but also like how is the dynamic going to play? Because Marav like was like pressuring at times, then moving on the outside. And Shan was like taking the front foot, but then when Marav was trying to push back, he was like, okay, and now I'm going to move on the outside. And the directionality is interesting because I was expecting like if O'Malley pressures, he can win this fight. I thought the first time around, but then his shot selection wasn't there. He was not finding the distance. And Marav was like not fighting reactive shots, but he was like moving him around, baiting him into throwing big strikes, and he was finding takedowns like that. But at the same time, like O'Malley's footwork on the outside didn't look great either. Marav did not take a big advantage out of that to find the takedowns. But I saw a lot of like O'Malley like squaring himself, putting himself too close to the fence. At times, O'Malley was very insistent about showing the uppercut and the knees, but Marav was not very concerned about that, to be honest. I think so winning game plans. Let's get into that before like getting into some kind of prediction. I think Marav. I think like I understand the decision to not pressure super crazily, but I think he should take the front foot more. It is harder for O'Malley to kick, and those front kicks to the body are likely to be like the key aspect for victory for O'Malley here. So I think Marav needs to be like active. I think he did a very good job of like kicking a lot at open range and finding strikes in transitions. Just like when he was not getting the takedowns, he was making Sean O'Malley pay for that. And Marav might be getting better at that. We saw a bit of that against Umar too. So I think yeah, Marav not like pressure hard, but yeah, move forward, keep an active volume. Not a lot of, and I would like to see like more actual volume for Marav. There was a lot of bullshit volume by Marav on the first fight. What I mean with that is like a lot of like just pumping strikes that he knows were not going to land. A lot of kicks from outside range. I feel like Marav should try to like connect more in this one, even though there's the chance for the counter. Every time that Shan sits for a big counter, Marav might have an entry for a takedown here. For O'Malley, I feel like he also needs to fight for the front foot here. The front foot is going to allow him to move Marav into shots on the outside, especially those long kicks. And then if he can mix in the head kicks that are hard to catch, he might get going with the boxing eventually. And especially if he gets like Marav trying to blitz in for bad takedown attempts, he might get the read for a counter there. So I think like this should be a fight for who gets the front foot. But I'm suspecting that we're going to once again see both guys like exchanging roles and both guys consenting to it, which was the weird part about it. Like it's like, oh Marav, I want to move around the outside for a while now, and normally would be like, okay, I'm going to follow you around and not pressure super hard. And Marav then went like, okay, I'm going to move you back, and O'Malley would say like, okay, I'm going to move on the outside and try to be slick and shit. so so yeah, man. I think ideally, I feel like both guys should try to get on the front foot and with different approaches. Like O'Malley, I feel like he should try to move Marav into shots, while Marav should use the forward pressure to draw big strikes from O'Malley. Like for example, he got a beautiful takedown off a 1-2 that O'Malley really sit down on. He got a clean takedown, reactive takedown like that, one of the few reactive ones. So he could use more like that. Merab also, I think he should be more damaging during transition parts. Go crazy with the knees, go crazy with the punches, combinations against the fence. And for O'Malley, as I said, take more risks if you get taken down. Attack the body hard. And try to make Merab uncomfortable. And not the other way around. And that's it, man. Like, am I expecting like a super different fight from the first one? Like, not really. I feel like Shan is probably going to do better. But I think at the end of the day, he's not going to make like the necessary changes, even though this seemed like a very winnable fight the first time around. But I think that one thing that is concerning is that the physicality was like a problem on the first one, and I don't think that's going to be addressed here. Like, O'Malley is capable of defending takedowns. We saw that when he had the right distance and he was like using anti-wrestling with his footwork and making it easier for him to defend and harder for Merab to accomplish the takedown. But if Merab like just connects the hands, like, O'Malley's going for a ride. We already saw that. So yeah, I feel my final pick is that Merab is going to retain by decision. Okay, let's get to the chat here. I have a very bad allergy, man. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, that's a good point, Ghost. When Shan actually took advantage of the pressure he was landing, but he was like very timid about that, because especially after getting taken down by during that 1-2 that I mentioned. I mean, let me see. Sammy Arnett, I listened to Blaines and Ghost live stream. Ghost said when Merab circles and squares his stance, that is the time to throw the front kick for Shan. Is that a good idea? Yeah, I think that's a great idea. When fighters square their stance, they're like the most vulnerable to the front kick, to the down the middle. So I think O'Malley should try that. And he should also try the 1-2 when he's squaring his stance. What's your opinion on O'Malley using butterflies to get into turtle like in the Pure Young fight? I think he should go for that. He should go for that. I think he was like framing really hard at times. I think he was trying to play like a little bit of mission control at one point that wasn't very successful. But I think he just needs to be active. Like, Merab is not like insanely controlling. You just need to take a little bit of risk. And I think the turtle is like the way to go against Merab, because for whatever reason, Merab doesn't take the back. He just rides. And like, obviously, like, riding is effective, but like it was shown time and time again, like, you turtle, you get to the cage, you get a back up eventually. I've noticed against both Umar and Shan that he hasn't been a hardcore pressure like when he fought Yan. Yeah, that Yan fight, I feel it was like the danger of standing with Yan, especially because Yan is like a good wrestler. So I feel like they took the chance with, like, they saw like they saw that Yan needs reads, and that like high pace, especially like kicking to the body, shooting, was not allowing Yan to make the reads. Like, you could see that Yan was able to wrestle with Merab. Like, he was able to get back up, he was able to defend a few takedowns, but he was getting overwhelmed by the activity. I don't think we're going to see that from Merab again, unless he fights Yan again, I guess. Right strikes to the body by Shan was an answer on the first fight. Yeah, those are very good, because like, you change levels with the right hand to the body, so you are hard to take down. You can be countered though. Is it interesting to see Young Wood and Ray Long in Merab's corner? I feel it's weird because like I associate like Young Wood with moving on the outside, and I associate Longo with pressuring, and I guess that's why we saw Marab doing a little bit of both, right? It's kind of a weird situation, that one, but hey, it's working for Marab, so I'm gonna say like I don't really understand what's the deal with Young Wood is, but I would not call him a bad coach. Like he's seeing success for whatever reason he's finding it. So good for him, man. And it seems to be working for Marab too. So how would you grade Marab as a champion? An A to F. I'm not so familiar with. I mean, I know the order, but like you gotta like live in the U.S. to understand like culturally how how much each grade means, right? But I would say it's like a B minus. I would say is Marab is. Like he's very solid and he's winning, but he's not like winning like super convincingly. Like yeah, he won against Sean, but he got hurt on that fifth round. He also lost the third round, I think. Um, and then against Umar, like super close fight too. He kind of won that with the aura farming at the end. So so yeah, I think Marab is like pretty good, but like hey Ghost, I hope this one is good, man. I hope the fight is good. I feel like for example we were talking about like Jair is good. Is Jair will be like the worst champion at 145. Like I don't think Marab like ranks super high among champions at 135 either. I mean, I don't know. He's for sure under like TJ and Cruz for me. And by the way, for anyone wondering, I rate TJ higher than Cruz. But like I think Barao probably like still better than Marab, like overall. Not saying yeah, he would beat him 1-on-1 too. Just because Barao was impossible to take down, man. But yeah, I'll get into the outro and we can chat for a little bit for a bit more. And that concludes the pay per view. I'll be honest, guys, I'm not super excited about this one. Uh, Main event has a chance to be an interesting fight, but after seeing the first one, I'm not super hopeful. Hopefully they prove me wrong. Let's see what fights are worth it here. Okay, Medeiros versus Mark Chowinsky is a completely fine opener. It's probably going to be a decent fight unless Chowinsky gets to like just lay on top of him, but I doubt that. Salkill versus Ashmuz should be action packed. Ashmuz is like can be like low volume, but I think Salkill is going to force him into a dogfight, and he's not going to back out from that. Yu Sang Yu, kind of like orthodox corner from Korea, is fighting Jeka Saragi. Saragi is not in boring fights, so I'm okay with that one. That one is decent. Then we have like Ariane Lipski da Silva against Wang Kong. Wang Kong brings the heat too, so the the prelims start pretty well. The prelims start like pretty decent. And we have Chaos Williams versus Gustafsson. Gustafsson might be sketchy as shit, but he brings the balance. Uh, I'm probably not going to enjoy it, but it's going to have action. Then you have Spivak versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Like I'm not super excited about this one. I don't think it's going to be a great fight, but it's an important fight for heavyweight, to be honest. It's decent. Both guys are trying to be good fighters, so I'm not going to get mad at this one. They're like way better than your average heavyweight, so I'm gonna give them the respect at least. Actually, kind of excited about Asamat Mursakanov against Hiberu, especially for Mursakanov, man. I like him a lot. And Hiberu is a dog, man. He's going to bring the fight, so I'm kind of excited for that one. And Bruno Silva versus Joshua Ban is like banger because it's Joshua Ban. And Bruno Silva is also like always in exciting fights, so this one is going to be a banger. So actually, like nothing that I completely hate on the prelims, to be honest. It's just that it's nothing that great either. Like the one that I'm like super pumped about is like Joshua Ban versus Bruno Silva, but I'm like super confident about my pick too. So it's like we're getting to get like Joshua Ban get a win, but it's not like super intriguing, I guess. But it's still like, so yeah, the prelims are not like awful. They are decent. They should have like more important fights. We have like the top three are like decently important. Like Mursakanov versus Hibero, maybe not so much. But Bruno Silva versus Joshua Ban and Spivak versus Cortez Acosta, even though that's not a great fight, but those are like relevant fights, right? And then we get to the main card and it goes like, I hate Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland, and I don't like Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer either. When it comes to title fights, Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison is like dire. Because like Pena is probably like the worst champion right now, right? And I'm expecting Harrison to wash here. So we're left with Bautista versus Pachi Mix, which is like a very cool fight and very interesting. And the most intriguing fight of the night. And if Pachi wins, like he gets a title shot, obviously, so that like has huge implications. And the main event, I don't know what to think. I rather not put my hopes super high for it. So that's it. This card is not. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Like especially because like you cannot be carried by prelims, especially because these are solid prelims, but they're like finite quality prelims with a few like main card finite fights. But I'm not like going crazy for any of these fights, even though I love Joshua Ban. I like Salkild a lot. I like Wang Kong. But I'm not going crazy for these fights, man. I'll be honest. And you guys know that I'm usually the one that is like, oh, but this fight in the prelims is very good. Maybe not so much. I'll go crazy for Joshua Ban as I always go. But yeah, man, and personally, like Bautista versus Patch is great. I support it. I think it's very good matchmaking. I'm not a big fan of either, so I'm not like super invested in this one. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Saturday, Fight Companion. You get to watch me get sad about Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland, and I'll be there for Bautista versus Mix, Gastelum versus Pfeiffer, and the 2 title fights. So join me there. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I'll see you on Saturday during the fights. Enjoy. Okay, let's get back to the chat. Oh, I never changed this shit. I did, actually. Okay, let's get back to the chat. Did you like Phil McKenzie's funny analysis on TJ versus Merab? Yeah, I do not agree, to be honest. It's funny, but like, I think TJ washes Merab. Kobe Soldik, Hey, Soldic, man, we have a Hunter x Hunter fan here. I guess. I made a parlay with some of your picks for the last pay per view and won some money. Hey, man, that's cool, dude. What did you play? Let me know. It's pretty much Rising Sun vs. Sakano, Ban, and Pachimik carrying this. Yeah, pretty much, man. I like Sidekill too. Play Voltage says. Eliasar Hinojosa says Shan takes it. I wanted Shan to win the first time around. Like, he has been too annoying and fought like a bad fight the first time around, so. Main card seems to slow to a halt. Yeah, man, like, ugh. I actually hate Piper versus Gastelum. What a waste of a slot, man. It sucks that we have like 5 fights on the main card, and one is like one of the worst title fights possible, and the other two was like Piper versus Gastelum and Holland versus Luki. They're just trash fights, man. Trash fights. Why is it so hard for fighters to stay healthy during camp in general? I think MMA is a very hard sport to optimize. Like, you train a lot of different stuff, so your risk of injury is very high. And it's very hard to manage recovery, I feel, because like you really want to train skills in all different areas and at the same time keep your fitness, your strength, and your cardio up to par. And I think it's hard to like optimize those aspects together without getting hurt. Like, everyone is like training super hard because they want to be better than the rest. So it's always going to be hard, I feel. Why does it look like Marav is chewing gum during fights? I remember. Remember that Herb Dean was like. What happened with. Was Herb Dean like talking trash to. I mean, not talking trash. He was like telling a Shan's coach, what's his name? Tim Welsh. He was telling Tim Welsh to not coach Marav or something. Oh man, Dusko Todorovic versus Kyle Reese was so bad, man. That was trash, man. I can't believe we were watching that live, man. That was awful, man. $312 was so bad, man. Let me check the undercard for 312. Okay, 312 at least had like that, like Rongju versus Cody Steele. That fight was great. And it had Jack Jenkins versus Gabriel Santos. That was decent. But yeah, that card was rough, man. Oh, but Wei Li beating Tatiana was hype. That was hype for obvious reasons. Matthews versus Prado was disappointing, man. That fight was mid. But Jimmy Cruz versus Bellato was okay. Man, Duplessis versus Strickland. Duplessis versus Strickland was so bad, man. That one was trash. I mean, the fight itself. Yeah, no, nothing is going to be as bad as the last week's Apex card. That was so trash, man. We were watching that live on the live stream, and we could not believe how cursed that card was. I mean, that was insanely bad. It was so fucking bad, man. What is next after 318, man? Oh, we have Whitaker versus the Reader. Oh, that this is bad too, man. What is this card, man? Have you guys seen that card, man? And what's funny is that I was pretty sure that Barber versus Blanchfield was going to be a decent fight. I was pretty sure that it was going to be okay, man. But let me check this card because this Whitaker card, I just want to check that one, man. Oh, it has Evloyev versus Pico. That kind of rules. Oh, what? Why is the main event fucking Robert Whitaker versus the Reader? Like, no disrespect. Always been a huge Robert Whitaker fan. The Reader, like, killing Bo Nigel was fantastic, but that's not a better fight than Evloyev versus Pico. That says not yet official, so it might not happen. That's funny. We have Krylov versus Guskov on the main card, 2025. When you're forgetting the clock, that's a classic, man. This card is not done, man. The best two fights from that card, from that Whitaker versus the Reader card, are not ready, man. So next week is off. We don't have an event next week. Hey, with the current state of affairs, man, I'm pretty sure that Pico versus Ibloyev and Pierre Yan versus McGee are not going to happen, and instead we're going to have like some bullshit. Like, I don't have faith in the UFC anymore. Like, I've been watching every UFC event for so long. So when I tell you, man, these events are shit. Like, you better believe me, man. You gotta. Man, the UFC are being scumbags to Ibloyev, man. I'm not healthy inside the head, Ghost. I'm not doing well mentally, man. That's the only explanation, man. that last that last week event, Ghost, you dodged a bullet not watching last week, man. That was like one of your best decisions of all time not watching the last card because like we're still paying the price, though the mental price, the mental toll of watching the worst card of all time. It was so trash, man. Anyway, let's wrap things up, man. I gotta edit the podcast tomorrow and stuff, but yeah, let's leave it at that. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm super tired. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us always. And I'll catch you guys on Saturday. On Saturday we'll be watching the fights, even though they're not great. We'll be watching the fights together, as always. Hey, thanks everyone. Thanks chat. Catch you guys on Saturday. I'll try to put some content from here to Saturday. So catch you guys later. Thank you for tuning in as always.